Australia's government have the right to deport youth refugees, mainly from South Sudan, if they're involved in violent crimes. And I'm Nishat Lada with the sport. Ghanaian policeman Samuel Safo tells us dreams can come true after making his debut for the Black Stars at the weekend. That's all on the BBC Tonight in Focus. First, the latest world news. Hello, I'm Marion Marshall with the BBC News. The French President Emmanuel Macron has set out his priorities for his 5 years in office, saying he'll put his radical reforms to a referendum if Parliament hasn't turned them into law within a year. He told both houses, assembled at Versailles, that he'd cut their numbers by a third, reduce the cabinet to 10 members, and streamline the courts. From Paris, here's Hugh Schofield.
Emmanuel Macron believes in elevating the status of the French presidency above the realm of day-to-day politics, and that's what he did in style today, summoning 900 legislators to hear his words in the sumptuous surroundings of the south wing of the Versailles Palace. Of details, there were few, but that was not the point. This was more an exhortation, an appeal to deputies and senators to seize the moment and enact the changes he says that the crisis-stricken country so badly needs.
The French energy giant Total has signed a multi-billion-dollar gas deal with Iran. It's the first major agreement between Iran and a European company in the sector since the lifting of sanctions against Tehran 2 years ago. Total will take part as the largest shareholder in developing the South Pars gas field, together with Chinese and Iranian partners. A bus in Germany carrying elderly passengers rammed into a truck and burst into flames near the small Bavarian town of Steinbach, killing 18 people and injuring many others. Jenny Hill reports from Berlin. The heat was so intense, there was no chance of rescue. There were 48 people on board. Those who got out in time were all injured, some critically. Everyone else, all of them pensioners, died on the bus. This afternoon, recovery of the dead and the beginning of an investigation. The crash happened during an early morning traffic jam. The speed, the ferocity of the ensuing fire has shocked many. Police say they have now recovered all of the victims from the wreckage. It's emerged they were German tourists on their way to Italy. The Qatari foreign minister has delivered his Emirates' response to a list of demands from its Arab neighbours. These include the downgrading of ties with Iran, closure of the Al Jazeera news network, and cutting support for the Muslim Brotherhood. Here's Frank Gardner.
This is unquestionably the worst political crisis to hit the Gulf Arab states that anyone can remember. This morning, Qatar's foreign minister gave Kuwait, a mediator, his country's official response to a humiliating list of 13 demands made by Saudi Arabia and its allies. He said he believed they were deliberately designed to be rejected. Qatar has already resisted calls to shut down its flagship broadcaster, Al Jazeera. It would also be reluctant to close the Turkish military base on its soil, which it sees as insurance against invasion by its giant neighbour, Saudi Arabia. Even if some kind of compromise can be stitched together in the short term, the rift between Qatar and its neighbours is now so deep there is no mutual trust.
World news from the BBC. There have been reports of fierce clashes as the Iraqi military continues to try to capture the last bastion of the Islamic State group in Mosul. The fighting is focused on part of a quarter known as the Old City. The area was reported to have been rocked by airstrikes, and the security forces said they'd made some progress. A senior doctor at a hospital in Bahawalpur in Pakistan says the number of fatalities from an oil tanker fire has risen sharply to 206. About a quarter of these people have died in recent days, subsequent to the initial accident 8 days ago. It happened when oil from an overturned tanker caught fire. A court in London has given a life sentence to an Islamist teenager who plotted to blow himself up at an Elton John concert in the city on the anniversary of the September the 11th attacks. Haroon Syed told a contact on social media that he wanted to get hold of a machine gun and a suicide vest. An inquiry into abuse in children's homes and foster care in the self-governing British island of Jersey has found that for decades, vulnerable young people were beaten, humiliated, locked up and sexually abused. The report says child protection services in Jersey are still not fit for purpose. Zimbabwe has auctioned cattle worth $1 million to raise money for the African Union Foundation in order to help end what President Robert Mugabe called donor dependency syndrome. Mr. Mugabe handed over a cheque at the African Union Summit in Ethiopia. The donation comes amid a severe cash and food crisis in Zimbabwe. It's Shingai Nyoka. Some see it as a unique gesture by one of the African Union's founding members, $1 million donated by one of the continent's eldest statesmen to shed the African Union's dependence on foreign funding. But in Zimbabwe, where cash is short and the economy is in a crisis, the reaction to the donation has been mixed. Last year, 60% of the African Union's budget was foreign funded. BBC News.